The main guy Yamori sneaks out of his house at night as he can't sleep, but one night he meets a girl, Nazuna, who finds out about his sleeping problem and says she'll help him out with it. She says the nighttime is the time of freedom where you can do anything, and takes him to her apartment to help him sleep. Though when he fake sleeps, Nazuna bites his neck to suck some blood and reveals that she was a vampire who sucks blood to feed herself. Yamori didn't become a vampire as the person has to be in love with the biter vampire to turn into one themselves. Yamori wasn't a fan of real life, so decided to fall in love with her to turn into a vampire. They both start spending nights together, and share a wristwatch transceiver pair to talk to each other, as Nazuna doesn't have a modern phone. Yamori once bought that pair, but he had no friends to share them with, so he just hid one somewhere to talk to a stranger, but when someone eventually took it, he wasn't bold enough to call them. Suddenly the girl who once took that transceiver, Asai, appears. She was once the childhood friend of Yamori, but they didn't speak for a long time. Asai still sees Yamori as a friend, so both start meeting each other at around 4 AM, but one day Nazuna catches them together and shows Asai that she's a vampire. They go to a restaurant where Asai tells Yamori to start going back to school again, but Nazuna gets a bit mad, as Asai didn't stay like a friend with Yamori, and now she's telling her what to do with his life. She leaves, so Yamori follows her, but accidentally falls and gets mouth bleeding. Suddenly Nazuna drinks the blood from his mouth, like a kiss, and leaves. Next night Yamori thinks he's in love with Nazuna finally, as he was feeling freaky inside, but after biting him, Nazuna says that he's feeling lust for her, not love. Later Asai couldn't sleep at night so goes out for a walk, while Yamori finds her and takes her to Nazuna's house to play Street Fighter Alpha and Doki Doki Sewing Club. It was still night, so after playing they go to sleep together, where Nazuna sucks Yamori's blood again, while Yamori tells Asai his goal of becoming a vampire and the condition of falling in love for it. Asai was still glad that Yamori found a goal in his life even though he doesn't go to school. Next night Nazuna changes her appearance and both go to an 18+ hotel room accidentally to rest a bit. Nazuna drinks his blood and finds out that he was having mixed feelings for her, as he sees her as a friend, and trying to fall in love with her feels weird to him. Nazuna doesn't mind, as having strong and strange emotions makes his blood even tastier. Later Nazuna says that before meeting Yamori, she used to bring people to her house by giving them massage services as a professional cuddler, and used to suck their blood in secret to feed on it. She massages Yamori too, and when she is about to drink his blood, a regular customer, Shirakawa, appears, so Nazuna sends Yamori to deal with her. They start getting to know each other, and when Shirakawa tells him about her overwork, she starts crying as she hates her J-word life. Her boss calls so she starts to leave again, but Yamori stops her from going as she has to rest, and tells Nazuna not to let her leave through the door, so Nazuna throws Shirakawa out of the window. Though Yamori jumps after her so Nazuna saves them both. Yamori tells Shirakawa that Nazuna will turn him into a vampire one day, and when Shirakawa says she'll like to become one too, Yamori says he'll turn her into one after he becomes one. Later Nazuna and Yamori go to a night pool where some people hit on Nazuna, so she teases Yamori by talking to them, which pisses Yamori off a bit and he leaves, but Nazuna brings him to his school's swimming pool and drinks his blood. Later Yamori gets a drink from Shirakawa outside and goes under a shelter from the rain. Suddenly a girl, Sari, starts talking to him and takes his drink away. He follows her into a secluded area. Suddenly she hugs him and was going to bite his neck, but Nazuna comes and saves him. Sari is also a vampire, and she and Nazuna fight, while another vampire Kabura takes Yamori away. She brings him to 3 more vampires, Hirata Midori and Hatsuka, who tell him to choose one of them to bite him and turn him into a vampire. Vampires have to either make more offspring or kill their target human, but because Nazuna gets shy when someone talks about love stuff, she's considered lower than those vampires. All 4 start trying to riz the child, and say he'll either have to turn into a vampire or get killed by them as the rule, but Yamori says that he wants to get turned into a vampire by falling in love with Nazuna only. Nazuna arrives too, while Yamori tells the vampires about their contract of him letting Nazuna suck his blood as food, and her letting him fall in love with her to turn him into a vampire, so the vampires decided to let them do their thing without interfering for now. Though when Yamori says he'll turn into a vampire no matter how long it takes, the vampires say when a person gets their blood sucked, they have 1 year to turn into a vampire, or they would never turn into one. Nazuna then kisses Yamori again in front of the vampires, and takes him away. Later Yamori tells Asai about 1 year time limit, so Asai says that if he fails to become one, he'll get killed by those vampires, as he knows too much about vampire stuff now. Asai goes to her school and meets a childhood friend of hers and Yamori, Mahiro, who was after a girl and could only meet her at night, so wasn't getting enough sleep. At night Sari meets Yamori again and finds out he needs help to fall in love with Nazuna, so gives him a date list, but Nazuna doesn't like any of the date idea, and tells Yamori that she likes the stuff he already does. Later Mahiro finds Yamori and they talk for a bit, then Asai appears and tells Mahiro that Yamori meets a girl at night and skips school. Mahiro gets a message so he leaves, while Nazuna sees Mahiro with a girl, and acts like them as a couple with Yamori. Later Sari takes Yamori to a karaoke as she was kind of interested in Yamori as he was chosen by Nazuna. Suddenly a guy who had a crush on Sari, Akiyama, comes there but Sari only gives him a little attention as she's like a popular girl everyone has a crush on. Yamori realizes Sari wasn't having fun with dating as she doesn't have a one guy who's her actual love, so she says she'll just kill Akiyama if she gets bored with him, but Yamori saves him and takes him away. He finds out that Akiyama met Sari one night and got a crush on her, but he didn't realize it was a one-sided crush and still started thinking about her all day. Sari arrives to kill Akiyama but Nazuna stops her as she was going to harm Yamori too, while Akiyama realizes that Sari only wanted to stay a friend with him, not a lover. Sari was just too tired of having relationships with every new person she met, that's why she wanted to have someone normal as a friend only. Akiyama then allowed Sari to turn her into her offspring vampire, so she accepted him and sucked his blood to turn him into a vampire too. Later Yamori and Nazuna find Midori, one of the vampires, who was working in a maid cafe and was short on staff, so hires Nazuna for a night to be a maid worker. All the Discord mods and 2016 weebs were in the cafe, role-playing as masters, while a maid, Arisa, meets Yamori and says that she was the #1 maid there before Midori arrived. Later they find Arisa's pictures online which someone took in secret in the changing room, so Yamori investigates and figures things out. When Arisa starts to change, Yamori and Midori hide in a locker and catch Arisa taking her pictures herself. She wanted to become the #1 maid there again, so she was just trying to get some attention, but now she realizes realizes that was dumb, and stuff go back to normal. Nazuna buys new furniture and clothes from the money she made from the maid cafe, and decides to make more money to get more stuff, so sends Yamori to get customers for her massage business. Yamori finds a detective, Anko, who thinks Yamori is trying to flirt with her, but warns him to be careful who he picks as someone can arrest him for working a job that late as a minor. Then she says that she was trying to find Akiyama, Sari's guy, but Yamori says he doesn't know him. She leaves, but follows Yamori, and finds Nazuna's apartment. Later Mahiro takes Yamori and Asai to school at night to hang out like they used to, and decides to try summoning the 7 wonders of the school for fun. Then talk about a teacher who went missing once from their school, and is rumored to stay in a classroom at night, so they check it and actually find him there. Suddenly he attacks Asai, while Yamori realizes he was a vampire too. Suddenly Anko shows up as she was still following Yamori as she was suspicious of him, and also knew about that teacher's case. The teacher was craving blood, so Anko lets him drink hers, but he stops after drinking a little, while Anko says that he was tricked by a vampire into falling in love with her, and she turned him into her offspring vampire. But after he found out his craving for blood as he was a vampire, he started staying hidden to try not to drink any blood for past 10 years. That was his last night as he was finally close to dying, but Yamori's group showed up and ended his diet streak. Anko gives that teacher a ring and forces him to hold it, while the sun rises up, and he dies as a human. Yamori asks why she didn't let him die as a vampire, so she gets mad as being a vampire, especially dying as one, is a shame as a human. She also knows about Yamori's wish of turning into a vampire, and says she'll stop him from turning into one. That makes Yamori realize he doesn't know anything about vampires. Yamori tells Nazuna what happened, so she says that vampires can stay alive without drinking blood for 10 years, while Yamori gets a bit worried as Anko knows how to kill vampires. Mahiro knew about Yamori's goal of becoming a vampire too, and says that he might become the type of vampire like the teacher at school, and makes him realize that he can still be free as a human, rather than choosing a vampire life. Yamori takes Nazuna to his home, where he lives with his mother who's divorced to his father and works a job. He tells her that he's not sure about becoming a vampire as he's still having fun, so she agrees as she has stayed a vampire for 10 years, and is just trying to force the good things to happen in her life too. Later Yamori meets Anko again to ask her why she's against vampires, so she just calls them evil as she's racist to them, and also knew about him trying to fall in love with Nazuna. She says she'll save him from vampires if he stops trying to become one, by killing all the vampires who come for him, but Yamori says that vampires have feelings too just like humans have. With no other choice, Anko calls police on Yamori as he works a night job as a minor which is illegal, so he runs away and hides in a playground. Suddenly Hatsuka, one of the vampires, finds him there. She takes him to her home, where 3 people were working as her simps, and leave when she tells them to. She takes a bath and reveals that she was actually a he. Nazuna tells Hirata, Sari and Midori that Yamori doesn't want to become a vampire, and tells them to leave him alone anyway, and if someone goes after him, she'll kill them. But Hirata was pissed as Nazuna was breaking so many vampire rules. Yamori tells Hatsuka that he doesn't want to become a vampire anymore, and tells him about Anko who turned the teacher vampire into ash, but Hatsuka says that even vampires don't know about a lot of stuff about vampires. Hatsuka then finds out about what was going on in Hirata's side, so tells Yamori that to save Nazuna, he'll have to turn into a vampire, as no matter what, they'll have to kill him after the time limit of 1 year runs out. He offers to turn Yamori into a vampire, by suggesting how a femboy can understand gay love well, but Yamori figures out that he's the one who can't understand love yet, and still decides to choose to go for Nazuna. He runs from the police, and arrives at Hirata place, but Hirata says Nazuna has already left, which pisses Yamori off and he tells her to stop trying to get involved in everything. Nazuna buys a beer from a vending machine. Suddenly Yamori appears like she did the first time they met, while Hirata remembers that she actually taught Nazuna about love stuff, that's why she ran away from embarrassment earlier. Yamori tells Nazuna that he actually enjoyed every moment with her as everything was new to him, and says that they'll just have to keep finding new things to enjoy together by subscribing to the channel. Finally, Nazuna says that she'll become a vampire worth falling for, and kisses Yamori.